focuses on key concerns shaping contemporary teacher education. I request our session's chairperson, Professor Srinivasa Rao sir, to please come on the dais. I request Professor Ramesh Ganta sir to please come over the dais. Professor Ramakrishna sir, Professor Nagendra Kumar sir, Professor Amita Bajpai ma'am, Sir Meenakshi Biswal ma'am, Professor Angadi, Dr. Shankar Paripalli sir, Dr. Vaibhav Yadav sir, Dr. Vaibhav Jadhav sir, at this point, I respectfully hand over the conduct of plenary session 3 to our esteemed co-chairperson, Professor Shaheen Sheikh ma'am, who will formally introduce the speakers and take the session forward. I wish the session thoughtful discussions and meaningful academic outcomes. Thank you. Over to you, Professor Shaheen.
Thank you, Etasham. I'm sorry, I don't think we'll be able to go to the dais because we're quite crowded here. Yeah. First of all, I would like to welcome all the participants to this particular session. And I would like to introduce our guest speakers for today. The chairperson is Professor S. Srinivas Rao, Senior Professor from Jawaharlal Nehru University. We also have Professor Ramesh Ganta sir, who will be joining us in a moment. No, sir has joined. Okay. Who has joined us. He is our very own professor from MANUU. We also have Professor A. Ramakrishna sir, who's retired professor of Osmania University. Professor Nagendra Kumar from BHU. Professor Amita Bajpai from Lucknow University, Professor Meenakshi Biswal from Satya Sai Institute of Higher Education, Professor Angadi sir from Central University of Karnataka, Dr. Shankar Paripalli from NEPA, Dr. Vaibhav Jadhav from Savitribai Phule Pune University, and of course myself. I'm not going to introduce myself. Okay, so we have a number of speakers today, and I think let me set the tone for today's today's session by please requesting everybody to stay within the limits of time and speak for maximum of 5 to 6 minutes. First of all, I would like to request, sir, it's okay. No. Start. You will start. I'll ask. First of all, I would request Professor Meenakshi Biswal from Satya Sai Institute of Higher Education to please address the gathering. She had like to catch at 3 p.m. and so we are taking her first. So, ma'am, please.
No problem. Invoking the blessings of Bhagavan and the universal consciousness, respect chairpersons on the dais, of the dais, and my dearest students. Today, my topic will be around the excellence in teacher education and NEP 2020 with some calculation of 6C and 6D mapping. So first of all, I want to tell you that the deliberation will be on few points. That is, what exactly is NEP 2020 goals? What type of teachers this goal want? And how are we going to achieve this? Curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment. So the NEP 2020 goals are holistic development, ethical citizenship, teachers' professionalism, well-being and mental health, and social harmony. To achieve these goals, we need teachers, and the teachers should be academically competent, ethically grounded, emotionally balanced, socially responsible, and spiritually aware. So these 5 criteria the teacher should be. If we want in a positive note that we have to prepare this type of teachers through our teachers training program, then we have to think how are we going to do it. As we know, individual transformation leads to social transformation. So if we start with individual transformation, that would be first the inner transformation of the individual, then the inner transformation will give rise to the action, that is outer conduct of that particular person. And when the inner and outer transformation happens, then it will reflect in the service-oriented action, which will lead to a peaceful individual, and peaceful individual combines together to a harmonious society. The inner transformation, please, it is there. Then go to next slide. Sixth slide. 6. So the inner transformation comes through 6 Ds. The first D is determination. Person should be determined, be perfect. Second D is with determination, we have to do duty with discipline and devotion. So we have completed 4 Ds: determination, duty, discipline, devotion. And the next 2 Ds are discrimination. And this discrimination has to be between one is pleasant, second one is good. That is what is Nachiketa asked to Yama in Kathopanishad, where Yama gives the lessons to Nachiketa that you have to have discrimination between 2 things. One is Shreya, other one is Preya. Preya means pleasant, which we love to do, but Shreya is the right, what is supposed to be done. So we have to find out what are we supposed to do. That is done through discrimination. Then last D is detachment. When we discriminate, definitely we have to use our vairagya. Vairagya means detachment from Preya and move in Shreya. So this 5D will help us to improve or make our inner transformation easy. Then second one is the outer transformation that comes through 6 C's. The first C is commitment. I have to commit that I have to work for the society. My behavior should be socially approved. I should be country. I should help others. From that commitment comes concern, communication, collaboration, continuous improvement with cleanliness, inner cleanliness and outer cleanliness. When these 6 Ds happens, we have to come to in action, that is 6C. So 6D and 6C comes together. And when these two comes together, then a service oriented. Yes. So then we are coming to the curriculum. We have in our teacher education curriculum 4 pillars, that is foundation course, pedagogy and practicum, internship and community engagement, reflection and mentoring. So all these I have shown in the mapping, and that can be mapped like in pedagogy foundation. What out of 6 Ds we have to put in pedagogy and practicum, what 6C, and internship and community, how are we going to divide? All this I have shown. Then pedagogy has to be not this type of pedagogy what we are following now, standing here and talking, chalk and talk method. Our pedagogy needs little change, that is reflective journal and self-assessment, service learning and community immersion, dialogue teaching and ethical analysis, ethical case analysis. Like many times we have ethical dilemma, moral dilemma. So how are we going to come out of it? Then mindfulness, value reflection and silent sitting. So if these pedagogies are practiced, then how are we going to assess? That first one is behavioral observation. How the individual is behaving with others, means with peers, with elders, with juniors, with the society. Then next one is portfolio based assessment. That particular person has to write the journals every day. That is narrative and journal. Then the assessment is from teacher side. Now we have to do peer and self-assessment. So when we do all this, definitely we'll have a good teacher. And when we have a good teacher, then definitely good students will come. Good teacher plus good student come makes a good nation. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
Thank you, ma'am. I now request Professor Ramesh Ganta sir to please share his thoughts on this topic with us. And his topic is, I think sir will say.
I will create space for you. Good afternoon. You might have observed that I am one among the panel without an assigned topic. That is the freedom given by my colleagues. The topic that they have chosen for this two-day conference is Future Pathways for Teacher Education. If you look at the key points, the future, then pathways, then teacher education is everybody's, particularly we are all concerned with. The future, particularly in teacher education, play a very important role because we are preparing the teachers not for today, most of the time for tomorrow. That's the reason the role of a teacher is more crucial and critical when compared to any other professional trainer. It is not to transact what that is suggested in the name of curriculum for teacher education. The teacher educator should be able to look at the future society and the future child and the child who is supposed to play a role in the future society. वो समझना है पहले. That is one thing. Now coming to the status of teacher education, future in the sense you have to be well acquainted with the part of teacher education, the present status of teacher education, then only it is possible for us to predict the future education, probable future education. It may not be for future education. When you look at the present education, there is no dearth of the theoretical base. You look at Commission onwards till date, including NEP, there is no reason to discuss nor to look at the present theoretical base for the teacher education. But when it comes to practice, where we stand, that is the major difference. Because any document in teacher education is prepared with wide consultations, not only with the teacher educators, but across the academia. But when it comes to practice, because as a student of theoretical research in the 80s, my topic was theory and practice, something like that. If you look at the theoretical base or the strength of any document that we produce in the field of teacher education is no way inferior to that of the best that is available across the globe. But when it comes to practice, we are very sorry with the state of affairs. That is the reason now the focus should be more on practice, and that is only possible by way of introspecting themselves by the teacher educators, not listening to all these things. This is one thing. The second important thing, what is happening, we are all concerned with quality assurance, whether it is higher education and teacher education. Everybody talks about sometimes people have gone to the extent of saying that untrained teacher can do much better than a trained teacher. There are several occasions when there was a lot of discussion that took place in this country about the distance education in teacher education. Some people used to argue from distance education that the products of distance education are doing much better than students. They have their own research base for such arguments. Now, another section has come up. They say that institutions are existing only for the sake of awarding a valid degree. What exactly they are learning? What they are learning could really make them to become a teacher. If they become officially a teacher, but really they are performing the job of a teacher in the classroom. These are all the major questions that we have to address. Another thing, we are talking of AI. After all, AI will come and go. After 3 years, another thing will come. Because we started our teacher education with audio education, video education, audio visual education, then computer education, so on and so forth. Now everybody is talking about AI. AI can transform teacher education unless we involve and make sure that what type that to be reflected on the canvas of teacher education. हम जाके फिलॉसफी पढ़ाएंगे, साइकोलॉजी पढ़ाएंगे, बाली क्या किताब में है, कौन अमेरिकन राइटर क्या लिखा है, वो पढ़ाने से क्या होगा? First of all, teacher educator should an image of the teacher whom you are expecting that one should occupy the classroom position after 10 years, after 20 years, or even after 2 years. What exactly the society is in need of? Whom they are going to teach? वो साइकोलॉजी तो अभी चले गया. Theory for theory's sake. Never we try to apply the knowledge of psychology in classroom context. So certain simple basic issues should be attracted by the teacher educators instead of looking at the AI and other things. After all, it is a facilitator. They're going on making the students how to make AI is not our job. They can learn on their own. But how to protect the AI and its use in academics by way of making the students to understand the negative consequences and how it will hinder their own creative and innate abilities. Those things we have to focus instead of going on talking about AI. And coming to the NEP, because time is too short, we have to remember the Honorable Prime Minister. It's not today and yesterday. Immediately after becoming the Prime Minister, when he inaugurated IUCT, the diaspora here, interesting statement that he made. अच्छे शिक्षक, अच्छा शिक्षक, अच्छे शिक्षक. अच्छा शिक्षक, उसको शिक्षक is teacher. शिक्षा, student, Shishya. A good student is possible only with good teacher or good or whatever it is. Such a beautiful. अच्छे शिक्षा, sorry, अच्छे शिक्षा, अच्छे शिक्षक. We talk about quality education, try to ensure that the system is provided with a quality teacher. Quality teacher qualifying at the B.Ed examination or TET, the TET also, because when we conducted the TET first time, only 2% or less than 2% could qualify. Nowadays, everybody is getting qualified. We are so liberal. Now, this is the thing that we have to remember, that this developmental process or anything that we talk about the future of the nation, very popularly, the Prime Minister and everybody in the country is talking about Vikasit Bharat. That is only possible with the teacher. That is only possible with teacher education. I'm not looking at in isolation, but the education as a whole. So therefore, to raise to the occasion, that is what exactly projected in NEP 2020. Because when I joined the teaching faculty, always we used to feel that we are the sixth finger in the university system. Nobody used to care the faculty of education. But the document taken the faculty of education to the higher end, because all teachers working in university are to be by the schools of education in their pedagogical discipline. So friends, what I mean to say, when we have to have the image of this future teacher, future society. The individual teacher trainees or the fellow pupil teachers should orient themselves to the importance of the futurology as a science, and always they have to go with that particular orientation, and accordingly they have to design and plan every act of the teacher educator in the classroom, so that whatever we talk about the pathways and the future is possible only with a lot of empowerment and dedication and commitment. That's where everybody is supposed to read the competency-based commitment, quality teacher education. But unfortunately, though we brought in around 20 years back, but it has not percolated into the minds of the teacher educators. I hope that everybody will take the conference as the beginning of your seriousness, and that is how we can proceed forward. Thank you very much. I congratulate the organizers for getting back this culture of face-to-face mode after almost a gap of 10 years, because we are fed up with the online kind of orientation. I congratulate them, and I wish the Faculty of Education MANUU will continue their efforts of creating such a platform in future also. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Anish. I'm very sorry actually that, he was in such a flow. We had to stop actually just to get back to the afternoon sessions on time, at least. We will move to the next presenter. Yeah.
Meenakshi ma'am needs to leave. Professor Meenakshi Biswal has to leave, so we would like to take this opportunity to felicitate her so that she can go. She has a flight to catch at 3 o'clock, I think. I request our chairperson, Professor Srinivas Rao, sir, to please felicitate her. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for attending the conference, and we hope we'll be able to see you again in the future. Thank you.
All the best.
So I now request Professor Ramakrishna sir to please share his thoughts with us.
A very good afternoon to one and all. Dignitaries on the dais and my teachers and other distinguished India and say, I would like to share my, which I have taken it as a scene of ICCSR. So my topic for the topic research was navigating the higher education landscape through artificial intelligence intervention. And this topic is about the systematic literature review of the contemporary process, practices, as well as educational outcomes and challenges. This is a small portion of the whole research. I would like to find out the educational practices in higher education, including the engineering and the medical profession. So that's my broader topic for the senior fellow, and a portion has been, I would like to share it here. See, and before sharing the different aspects, I would like to just quote a small incident. Like last week, we had a small conversation with Madam Vanaja, Madam. See whether you will be available for 2 days or only 1 day. Then it is a conversation. Then I said I will be available for only 1 day. If the same conversation would have been through email, then the email would provide alternates for the reply, like whether I will be available for 2 days or 1 day, and more options will be there. So this is possible through artificial intelligence, that our decision making, our aspect, aspect of whether to attend 1 day, 2 days, or not to attend, that will also will be provoked or giving as a reply. So this is the everyday phenomenon, and every aspect we come across. And this is not a new phenomenon. This has been in practice for about 6 to 7 years, even after the artificial intelligence that has come into existence in the world in 1950s. So this is a everyday phenomenon. Not only the academics, educated, but also a layman is able to see this kind of impact. So our teacher education and education academics is not a new thing. Then what all the various aspects that have been taken up during this past years, I have just done a literature survey, and generally the literature search is either summarizing the reviews chronologically or some thematic manner. But this a systematic literature review would also compile the data, the findings of the different things, so that citations, co-citations all reflected, And this is more so related to the metadata. And then we have challenges. Of course, the sir also has pointed out that with only a box problem, etc. And we have especially the artificial intelligence. These particular technical aspects are in English. So vernacular languages are not there. And then there is a reason why AICTE and other regulatory bodies have asked for the textbooks and the content to be created in the regional languages. And then in the high income countries and our country, there are few differences. Like the primary goal in high income countries are cost reduction and research acceleration, whereas our country is more preferring for the access. And similarly, the government has a robust data privacy laws abroad, but our country also is implementing the NEP 2020, and that is the reason why we are focusing on the NEP 2020, as you all know, that coding, computers, the languages, computer languages, all have been introduced at the school level. As earlier, in the last decade, only graduates, and that too the technical graduates, engineering and other graduates were able to understand the computers. So with this, I conclude that the artificial intelligence is not merely a tool of higher education. It is a new environment where technology and humanity are inextricably linked. So we have the revolutionary gains, we have certain risks where equity is the issue, and then the AI literacy has become by now a mandatory foundation coursework for all the courses. Even at in the school level, we have this artificial intelligence. Then educators should evolve from the information providers to curators. It is not just information, but we need to curate, in the sense, turn it to our purpose of AI experience. And most important thing is about the ethics. Ethics is also one of the important component of the AI. Right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ramakrishna, sir. I now invite Professor Nagendra Kumar from Banaras Hindu University to please address the gathering. His topic is Future Pathways for Teacher Education Internship.
Thank you, Madam, and Honorable Dais, respected dignitaries and dear students. बात हो रही है टीचर एजुकेशन की, तो उसके पहले दो लाइनें हम लोग इस पे थोड़ा सा नजर इनायत करें। बड़ा मुश्किल है मकान को घर बना पाना, बड़ा मुश्किल है मकान को घर बना पाना, ऐसे ही मुश्किल है मनुष्य को इंसान बना पाना। तो ऐसे में टीचर एजुकेशन का जो रोल है, फ्यूचर पाथवेज फॉर द टीचर एजुकेशन विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू इंटर्नशिप, आई एम गोइंग फ्रॉम हियर with respect to NPT. Yes, teacher education from the beginning have included the internship part, because when we talk about the teacher education, it means their emphasis on the internship. We can't imagine about the teacher education. And when we talk about the teacher education, it means we are going to talk about the skill, how to teach. That is required. But from the NCFT and beyond that, we are thinking that not only teaching is required, how to understand the schools, what are the consequences of the schools in which teachers are going to work. It is required to first understand the concept of school. Why schools came in the existence? What was their philosophy? अगर हम स्कूल को थोड़ा सा समझें तो उसके जो वर्ड हैं उसमें अल्फाबेट्स, सोशल, कल्चरल, ह्यूमनाइजिंग या ह्यूमनाइजेशन, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऑफ लर्निंग, तो वो तीन टर्म जो हैं, सोशल, कल्चरल एंड ह्यूमनिस्टिक ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, तो जो वो गुण हैं उन चीजों को समाहित करने के लिए स्कूल वर्ड को लायक स्कूल इंस्टीट्यूशंस डेवलप किए गए, जहां पे व्यक्ति के अंदर कहा कि मनुष्य को इंसान बना पाना, उस वर्च्यू को विकसित करने के लिए स्कूल एज ए इंस्टीट्यूशन लाया गया, और जहां पे वर्क वो बनाने की जो श्रृंखला में काम करते हैं वो टीचर काम करते हैं। तो ऐसे में वो टीचर्स के पास एस्पेक्ट्स हों जिसके थ्रू दे बी एबल टू डेवलप दैट कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स विद इन अ ह्यूमन बीइंग। तो दो वर्ड्स जो मैं टीचर और एजुकेशन, अगर उनके अल्फाबेट्स को फिर हम बात करें, टीचर ट्रेन, ट्रस्टवर्दी, एनर्जेटिक, अकाउंटेबल, कोऑपरेटिव, कम्युनिकेबल, ऑनेस्ट, इंथुजियास्टिक एंड रोल मॉडल एज वेल एज रिसर्चर। तो वो टीचर वहां से देखते हैं हम लोग। तो उस कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स को एक टीचर में विकसित करना है। आफ्टर दैट एजुकेशन के अगर वर्ड को हम लें, education, who are getting the education, that should be etiquette, discipline, universal brotherhood feeling, creative, cooperative, curious, accountable, aware about social and educational issues, trained with respect to their particular discipline, integrity, feelings, optimistic and noble. So these words integrate the concept of teacher education. When we are working within the teacher education and we want to train the teachers, these characteristics should be there. How to work there? This is required. As Ramesh Ghanta said, that we are reading philosophy, psychology, sociology, technology. These are the essential aspects. By that we are preparing the teachers by the philosophical foundations, but they are going to do within the real environment. Therefore, it is required that what to do. First one, KYS. As bank, weeks are devoted for the internship, 20 weeks, and 16 weeks in the final semester where they are going for the school teaching. So therefore, how to work there, this is why. And as earlier we were talking about that, and also we know that NEP 2020 fragmented school education teachers training as foundational stage, preparatory stage, middle stage and secondary stage. And we are going to prepare through the ITEP courses as well as from the B.Ed and DLED courses. We are training about that. ECCE for foundational stage. Sir has rightly said, how to teach there. Who are going to work there required to gamification, playing methods. उनके साथ खेलना है, उनको पढ़ाने की जरूरत नहीं है, बस उस खेल में हम उनको सिखा सकते हैं. तो वो yes sir, I am going to, but few concepts are here. Then each level training is required and their internship should be different. Create the knowledge with the help of a student. Do not impose the knowledge on students. तो विधा आनी चाहिए, मेथडोलॉजी आनी चाहिए, स्ट्रेटजी आनी चाहिए कि जिससे कि हम बच्चों के साथ वो ज्ञान जनरेट कर सके, हम उन पे थोपे नहीं. तो फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग जहां हम ECCE की बात वो सीखते हुए सेकेंडरी लेवल का भी अगर हमें कॉन्सेप्ट बताना है, तो जैसा अभी एआई की बात हो रही थी, दैट इज अब द टेक्नोलॉजी इरा, तो एआई को क्रिएट करके सेकेंड काम कर सकते हैं फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग। वहां से भी तो हम कैसे उस इंटर्नशिप को इतना इनरिच बनाएं, वो एक्सपोजर हो कि उसकी जो इथॉस है उसको हम समझ सके, और उसके साथ हम स्कूलों में जाकर काम कर सके। क्योंकि सबसे पहली जो जरूरत है कि टीचर्स बी अ सेंसिटिव पर्सन। अगर टीचर सेंसिटिव होगा, संवेदनशील होगा, तो शायद वो अपने बच्चे से प्यार करेगा। हम सब अपने पर्टिकुलर जिसको हम पैदा करते हैं उससे कितना लगाव रखते हैं, और उसको उससे इतना लगाव रखते हैं कि उसके बेनिफिट के लिए सारा एफर्ट्स करते हैं, और जिसपे हमारा डिपेंडेंट है या जिसके लिए हम काम कर रहे हैं। एज ए बीइंग अ टीचर, स्टूडेंट इज माई, उसको अगर हम समझते हैं, उससे प्यार करते हैं, अफेक्शनेट हैं, तो शायद हम उसके लिए स्ट्रेटजी प्लान कर सकते हैं। उसके इंडिविजुअलाइज इंस्ट्रक्शन के लिए हम वो प्लानिंग कर सकते हैं। तो इंटर्नशिप अगर बच्चे को समझने में मदद करती है, स्कूल इन्वायरमेंट को समझने में मदद करती है, और उसके मैनेजमेंट, व्हाट एक्टिविटीज गोइंग देयर, उन सारी चीजों की अगर हमें इंफॉर्मेशन होगी, उस रियल इतिहास को हम जान पाएंगे, तो शायद वी कैन डू वर्क देयर। एक वर्ड, अगर हम बच्चे को, जैसा कल भी बात हो रही थी, कि हम उसको विश्वास करना सिखा दें कि यू कैन डू इट। बच्चे को अगर ये पता चल जाए कि टीचर को उस पर फेथ है, और टीचर ये सोच रहा है कि मैं कर सकता हूं, तो वो बच्चा कर ले जाएगा। देयर इज रिक्वायर्ड टू सपोर्ट देम। तो हाउ टू सपोर्ट देम, दैट इज आल्सो they should learn within internship. And what kind of teacher we want? By internship exposure and training, we can mold and train like that. Something is here. One thing I particular want, that stipend should be here within the teachership, like the medicine and other professional courses. By that, our internee can be do with a real ethos. बस 2-3 लाइन और खत्म कर देंगे सर,
एक ही लाइन।
बस classroom observation of teacher and teacher educators should be allowed, whom they want to observe, and this should be mandatory to make a report on that. जिसे आप गुड टीचर कहते हो, एवरेज टीचर या बैड टीचर्स, तो वो जो टीचर इंटर्नी क्लासरूम भी ऑब्जर्व करें और देखें कि वो व्हाई दे आर पॉपुलर एंड व्हाई सम आर गोइंग टू क्रिटिसाइज. They should be get the exposure about the curriculum development. As I personally at the B.Ed level, they are able to develop the curriculum. They work on that, and knowledge and curriculum course में year अपना एक book develop करके करते हैं. They should get the exposure management of school, each activity from assembly, organizing, and planning of school educational activity. So they should get the exposure. And by that, we can make a real teacher. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Nagendra. I think you are not very hungry, I suppose. So all of us are actually maybe, yeah. So let's move to the presentation.
I request Professor Amita Bajpai from University of Lucknow to please address us.
A very good afternoon to everyone present on the dais and in front of me in the hall. The topic on which I'm going to share my views is the refinery model, reimagining pathways for teacher education. In this era of industrial revolution, fourth revolution, when we talk of pathways, the question frequently shift to the technology, use of technology, AI, the virtual reality, augmented reality, digital competencies. But you know, the essence of teacher education lies in the human elements, and that is why they are NEP 2020 and Education 5.0 also focuses on humanization of education. We are using some tools to train our pupil teachers, the curriculum, the instructional material, the innovative pedagogies, the technological assistance, The practice teaching sessions, the micro teaching sessions, the internship, all these are basically tools we are using. But you know, the efficacy or efficiency of a tool is dependent on every tool is as efficient as the efficiency of the hand which holds it, that holds it. Yesterday, someone raised a question of quality of seed which we are sowing. Quality of seed in a refinery model, the refinery model of teacher education, I visualize teacher education program as a refinery. As you know, in refineries, ores are taken as the raw material and they are put under certain structured conditions, put under a lot of heat, under a lot of pressure, and transformed into the material. Ores are not just ordinary dust or soil or rock. They have traces of, they have elements, they have traces of real material, valuable metals. As refineries, as teacher education program are refineries, I visualize our task is to refine the ore. The students who comes to us are like a ore. They come to us with certain prerequisites, certain raw potential, certain prerequisite competencies which are required to become a teacher. To provide a tool to a person, if you provide a scalpel to a person who doesn't have a temperament of a surgeon, the tool is going to be waste. The same is happening in the field of teacher education also. The type of product we are producing, the teachers we are producing, the quality of teachers depends on the material which we are using, the nature of students, the type of students which we are using. This refinery model, we can understand it by dividing it into 3 stages. We can break this model into 3 stages. The first is selection, the second transformation, and the third one is purification. Like any refinery, selection means the identification of ore, the identification of students, the identification of basic qualities which are required to become an efficient, a competent teacher. Not only identification, but defining these qualities, these competencies, these basic skills in measurable terms so that you can use these during the admission process, screening your students. Then comes the transformation. Transformation is, here comes the use of technology. All the curricular reforms, all the innovative pedagogies, all the technological assistance, all these internship and all these activities, curricular, co-curricular activity, these are there to help you to transform your students who have come to you in the form of OS into a competent teacher, into a competent personality. This is transformation. Then comes the purification. Purification is basically the final stage where the teacher's personality merges with the professional personality. Means when you extract the metal, when you extract the valuable from the ore, it cannot go original form, the earlier form. Same is happening with the student also. Once he has gone through our teacher education program, the personality totally merges. The personality totally transformed into a competent teacher. He cannot go back to, he cannot go back to the earlier one. He is not, the teacher is a teacher for 24/7 into 365 days. It doesn't mean he is a teacher once he entered in the 4 walls of the classroom. If it is so, he is actually acting as a teacher, he is pretending to be a teacher, or he is playing the role of a teacher. He is a teacher. But if we have transformed the personality of a teacher through these teacher training program, we have refined his personality. He is now a totally transformed person, now a competent professional teacher. I have identified certain pillars. There are four important pillars of any teacher education program. The intellectual pillar, the moral and ethical and social pillar, the emotional pillar, and the communicative pillar. There are certain raw basic qualities which are there in your student. You can polish them, you can refine them, strengthen these pillars. For intellectual pillar, the raw qualities can be the natural curiosity, the cognitive agility, and these can be transformed. The refinement goal is from transforming your students from a follower into an inquiry-based practitioner. When we take the example of emotional pillar, the qualities which are the basic requirement is in empathy or the resilience. There are many emotional qualities which are the prerequisite to become an efficient teacher, but I'm talking about only two, the empathy, resilience, and refinement goal is to transform this raw into socio-economic, socio-emotional competence. NEP is already talking about this socio-emotional competence to address the diversified need of your students in the inclusive classroom. The ethical and social pillar, the cultural openness. Our classrooms are going to be diversified in nature. The teacher should be having openness, not only acknowledging the diversity, but he should be respecting the diversified culture, diversity, student diverse culture. The refinement goal should be the cultivating culturally responsive pedagogy. Communication pillar, you all know that communication, the good communication teacher should be a good communicator. It is the communication which keep your students
Professor Bajpai.
absorb in your teaching learning
Professor
process,
Bajpai.
engage in your teaching learning process. 1 minute, sir, I'm concluding it. And this communication skill can be transformed, can be refined into scaffolding techniques. I mean, your students will be able to describe, to explain the complex concepts into a very simple jargon-free language. So when you select the students, select with certain inherent qualities which are required, which are preconditioned to become an effective teacher. I have devised certain activities also through which we can refine these qualities, but there is positive. I'm not going to elaborate on this, but you know that we cannot expect from an iron. Same goes with the students only. If a student lack basic empathy, if a student lack basic resilience, basic curiosity, no amount of training is going to make him an efficient teacher. So this is my idea of learning. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for that very nice refinery model. I now request Professor Angadi sir from Central University of Karnataka. His topic is blended learning strategies for teacher growth and excellence.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon, all. Honorable chair and co-chair, and all learned plenary members, and all experts before us, and dear all participants. I hope already time is going to wind up. Just 2-3 minutes. I will just 2-3 minutes only, sir. Yeah. The conference theme is NEP-2020, Future Pathways for Teacher Education. If you look into the NEP 2020, already it is 5 years back enrolled. But I hope that I attended yesterday also. My topic itself is a blended learning strategy for teachers' growth and excellence. As I attended, already the participants are which they are attending this conference. It is suitable to my topic, blended learning strategy for teacher growth and excellence. How far it is future? Again, we need to think about that, but it is at present also. If you look into the NEP 2020 policy with respect to blended learning as well as teachers' growth and development, three important component. One is ITEP, another is the NMM, and third is the NPST. Everything it is already deliberately presented. It is working on the things by the almost all teachers. We the teachers, but not teachers, but we are the 21st century learners. The things are rapidly changing in the system, but we need to update ourselves with respect to adjusting with the changing roll up are in the 21st century, especially not we are teachers, but we are, more facilitators. How to make ourselves more facilitations to the learners. We need to identify the learners' needs. Based on their learning needs, we need to facilitate accordingly. But how to make it through blended? See, the knowledge is available online, which is right to us, which is needed for our student, how to use and facilitate to our learners with respect to different stakeholders of the learners, whether at early stage of learner or at the highest level of learners also. Similarly, in NPST, we are also talking about the professional, that is lifelong learners. For us, it is not one stop. It is throughout our life, we are the students. That's why we need to update ourselves. As in DLR Commission, it is stated, learning to know, learning to do, learning to live together, learning to be. Learning is a lifelong process. We are in the 21st century, as well as the technology interference, our role is changing, but we need to understand to learn with, as and when it is necessary in terms of offline or online in blended, then only we are able to grow, then only we are able to grow more, serve and serve more. Thank you so much.
सर को बहुत सारी दुआएं मिल गई है.
Sir and Professor Ramakrishna and Professor Srinivas Rao, Karnam Vishwanatham sir, and many my friends. See, I have given my topic very deliberately, what I submitted to MANUU. From that you can see diverse things. But I will put two words here before you in 2 minutes. Then go and inquire about these 2 words very rigorously and try to understand how the diversity, culture, inclusion can be brought into the domain of teacher education to make teacher education development task. Okay. Now I am putting the word is cultural lobotomy. Cultural lobotomy is killing the diversity. Cultural lobotomy is the root cause to kill the diversity. What is that? I will read it for you. It refers to metaphorically to the forced or voluntary erosion of society's unique traditions, intellectual depth, and collective memory, often for the sake of uniformity, control, or technological efficiency. It describes a process where complex, nuanced cultural elements are replaced by bland, homogenized, and shallow content. They will create a standardized format. It may be a scientific method, it may be in the name of science. All the culture and all the knowledge system will be marginalized. That is what cultural lobotomy is. It is a Western-centric approach that erases cultural plurality to enforce a standardized and technological norm. If you come up with this, people are talking about decolonization of Indian education, but we have to observe that we are in the cultural lobotomy context where the entire nation and for the sake of the entire globe is exposed for the living Jomobi, where you are not thinking, you are dead, your brain is not thinking, but you are acting according to your technology or for the some controlled standardized powers. That may be the Western power, that may be the AI. If you overuse AI and media, then that you are becoming a living zombie, part of living zombie. You will forget everything. If you lose your culture, you will lose your roots. Your existence will be questioned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our last speaker, after that we'll have chairperson's remarks. Dr. Vaibhav
Okay,
Jadhav
yes.
from Pune University.
Savitribai Phule, Pune University. Respected teachers on the dais and off dais. First, I express my thanks to Professor Va. आज आपने मुझे मेरे टीचर के सामने खड़ा कर दिया है. My teacher is रमेश बाबू सर और उनके टीचर रमेश घंटा सर इज हियर. तो 3 पीढ़ियां यहाँ पे है आपके कॉन्फ्रेंस में. So thank you very much. Good morning. अगर कोई सोया हो तो उसके लिए good morning. I have only 1 minute. I know that. I'm talking about the internship in ITEP. And with the help of international collaboration, maybe you heard about geopolitics and how the education is hand-to-hand in Europe with the session of Professor Ireland. We had a very good collaboration with European University. We spent 10 years and then we received a lot of fund for the internship. First 10 years, we are just working with the European University, specifically University of Southeastern, previously known as the Telemark College. Now it is becoming University of Southeastern Norway. And now Savitribai Phule Pune University. We started internship in the field of teacher education. And recently we added the ITEP in international collaboration. Around 50 students completed their internship in Norway and in India. All students funded by the not European Union, but specifically University of Southeastern Norway and Government of Norway. Why they are giving too much more and much money to us? They would like to know that massification of higher education, large classroom. We would like to know how the 3 teachers in classroom, and they would like to know how 1 teacher in 2 classroom. So that is a big interaction happening between last 10 years, and we were together in the internship. It is my request to all the higher education institute, we have to identify the university from the Europe, UK. They are ready to work with us. Recently, Minister of Education, Government of India opened the call for the European Union. I think last month में उसने open किया है. मुझे लगता है कि हम लोगों ने ऐसे proposal डालने चाहिए. They are ready to pay a lot of good funding to us. ये नहीं सोचना चाहिए कि सारा फंड गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया देगी, हमें ढूंढना चाहिए. बस मुझे इतना ही कहना है कि NEP 2020 यहाँ पे हुआ है. Now we started NEP 2020 in India. At the same time LK20 वहाँ की नई पॉलिसी है नॉर्वेजियन गवर्नमेंट की, वो भी पॉलिसी 2020 में स्टार्ट हो गई है. Both countries are working on a same pathway. LK20 curriculum for the knowledge commission and promotion 2020 उनमें काफी चेंज किए उनके प्राइमरी एजुकेशन से हायर एजुकेशन तक, लाइक अस. सो हम दोनों साथ में काम कर रहे हैं, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया एंड गवर्नमेंट ऑफ नॉर्वे. सो आई रिक्वेस्ट टू ऑल ऑफ यू, हमें ढूंढना चाहिए. ये आए हुए सब आते रहेंगे जाते रहेंगे, आप सर ने कहा था. हमें ढूंढना चाहिए फंडिंग एजेंसी को और उनके साथ काम करना चाहिए. दैट्स माय सबमिशन टू ऑल ऑफ यू. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you, Vaibhav, for concluding very quickly. And I think congratulations for that collaboration between India and Norway. I now request our esteemed chairperson, Professor S. Srinivas Rao, you can select anything, to please share his remarks.
Thank you so much. I'm extremely sorry that we had to limit the speakers because of the constraints that we have. I'm already, I think, Professor Vanaja is looking at me very seriously. So I'll not take much time, actually. I think there's a very interesting session. I'm very happy to hear and learn many diverse kinds of topics. And I assume actually that there's a lot more actually to the arguments that each of the speaker was trying to kind of make. We know actually that, even yesterday and today, we have been hearing a lot about who is a teacher, what is expected of the teacher. And I think we see that the center of the focus of this entire discussion is about the teacher in the policy. And every policy has really envisioned the teacher and your image, and referring to the image teacher, what kind of a teacher we want. And that obviously is connected to the question that he subsequently raised, the image of the society that we want to create. So if we do not have this idea of what kind of society is to be built for the future generations, can we at all even think of building it? Do we means actually of creating a society that we actually want to create? I think, towards the end, Shankar has raised this very important question of diversity. Is diversity going to be, is it going to transform or transmutate? Diversity is not going to be static. It actually is going to transform into or mutate into diverse kinds of issues, and new kinds of diversities will become very important in the society. And the societies are constantly in search for dealing with this diversity. You have to deal with the diversity, you have to manage the diversity, and education systems and the teacher has to understand these changing contexts. What probably a teacher in 1980s or 1990s experienced is not same how actually experiences in the classroom. And I think what I see is that while the policies have always placed a great burden on the teachers, teacher is heavily burdened. Whether it is an elementary school teacher or a higher education teacher is heavily burdened. How do we really look at that? Nobody bothers about actually looking at the teacher. And on an average, a school teacher today teaches close to 32 to 38 hours in a week out of a total of 40. Sometimes actually, if you are a mathematics teacher, then you will be teaching for 40 hours entire actually. The moment you step into the school, you will be teaching till the last period. Therefore, I think the burden actually is, and yet the teacher is told that he or she has failed in building the learning levels. So therefore, I think what the World Bank report of 2000 on learning is actually that, and there has been a learning crisis across the world and more so in India. Therefore, I think the government of India has also started measuring the levels of achievement. We also find actually that there are certain kinds of improvements, but there is a whole lot of crises which seem to be surrounding us. And that seem actually not to be stopping at the school level. I think it seemed to be progressing into other levels of higher levels of education. How do we look at that? The entire responsibility or the onus of transforming the society is put on the teacher. We expect actually the teacher to be a very ideal teacher. There is on the one side, actually, you have the ideal of the teacher, ideal teacher, which actually policies tell us, our own institutions tell us. And there is actually a kind of reality of the teacher. When the teacher goes into the classroom, what does that teacher experience? What do they find? There's a severe teacher shortage. There's a high levels of teacher-pupil ratios, lack of infrastructure, and heavy teaching loads, and constantly changing curricula. If you just take 20 years, there have been actually several times, we are not still very clear as a society, what is the valid body of knowledge actually that we need to transmit to the child. We are not very clear as yet. Every new government comes, there is a new program of textbook development. There is a kind of a new curricular framework. We are constantly changing. And teachers are handed over the textbooks. And that actually increases the burden on the teacher. So, whether it is on the question of learning, on the question of the expectations of being an ideal teacher, the role actually internalizing the role of this ideal kind of a teacher, the burden actually continues to haunt the teacher. So therefore, what ultimately we bring to the classroom is a kind of a crisis. We ourselves actually are experiencing that crisis, and that gets transmitted to the children as well. What kind of children are we producing? And Professor, spoke about the refinery model. I think I slightly disagree with my colleague on the panel, that I think the very idea of refinery actually tells that the child is a novice. Somewhere I think it's not, child is not a raw material. The student teacher is also not a raw material. They do have actually certain kinds of socialization, certain kind of knowledge which they bring to the school. Where do we start as a teacher? From where the student, or do we actually move away, or do we teach actually that whatever we think actually is good for the student? There are different kinds of perspectives actually that inform us what a teacher should be, how a teacher ought to be. Policies tell us actually what a teacher ought to be. Therefore, actually, the onus of transforming the nation is placed on the teacher. Whether it is NEP-2020 actually talk about that the classrooms shape the nation. I think we know that actually classrooms are shaping, but do we insist on impacting or burdening the teacher, that the teacher loses sight of his or her own essential role in a given society? So therefore, I think there are many issues we can debate. I think I will not burden you further. And already I think the caterer in the guest house must be waiting for us, and the food must be getting colder. I stop here. Thank you so much. I must thank Professor Vanaja for giving me this opportunity to interact with colleagues from all over the country. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sir, I think with that we come to the end of the session. I would like to express my thanks again to all the members who have shared their thoughts in this plenary session. And I think a special thanks to all the audience for patiently listening in spite of it being the lunch hour. But we have some formalities of presenting the memento to the speakers for today.
Thank you, ma'am. Now it's time for the recognition of our distinguished guests. As a mark of honor and appreciation, I humbly request Professor Shaheen Sheikh to kindly present a memento to our esteemed chairperson, Professor Srinivasa Rao, sir, as a token of our deep respect and gratitude. Thank you, ma'am. Now, Professor Srinivasa Rao, sir, to felicitate Senior Professor Ramesh Ghanta, sir, by presenting a memento in appreciation of his valuable contributions. Once again, I request Professor Srinivasa Rao, sir, to honor Professor Ramakrishna with a memento as a mark of recognition and appreciation. Once again, I invite Professor Srinivas Rao, sir, to kindly confer a memento upon Professor Nagendra Kumar, sir, in acknowledgement of his distinguished support. I now invite Professor Shaheen to present a memento to Professor Vaibhav Jadhav as a symbol of our sincere appreciation. I request Professor Shaheen Sheikh to felicitate Professor Amita Bajpai ma'am by presenting a memento. I request Professor Shaheen Sheikh to honor Professor Shankar P. Once again, I request Professor Shaheen Sheikh to felicitate Professor Angadi by presenting a memento in recognition of valuable efforts. Finally, I humbly request Professor Srinivasa Rao, sir, to kindly confer a memento upon Professor Shaheen Sheikh in acknowledgement of her distinguished support and cooperation. Okay. On behalf of the organizing committee, I extend my sincere thanks to our honorable chairperson, distinguished guests, and all esteemed delegates for their valuable presence and meaningful contributions. I also express my gratitude to the coordinator, organizing team, and support staff for their untiring efforts in making this program a success. Thank you all.